This is the ultimate review of the Royal Enfield Classic 350. We've ridden these bikes over a number of years, but this week we have put these bikes through their paces in the best and worst conditions of southern India. So if you want to find out what these bikes are really like, this is the video for you.
Hello. Hello. Hi there. Oh wow, look at this. Don't touch the exhaust pipe. Oh, come on, sweethearts. Okay. Hello. Thank you. Namaste. Magical, 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 magical. Now, of course, everyone knows that these are not powerful motorcycles, but they're workhorses of a motorcycle. They'll go anywhere and do anything, and they do it really well, but not in a spectacular fashion. Now, on the roads, these are superb. You can travel for long distances on the dual carriageways, motorways if you like. It won't do 70 miles an hour, maybe at a push, but probably 60 miles an hour is where it's comfortable. But in the streets, in the cities, in the windy bits, these bikes are phenomenal because they're very manoeuvrable. It's got a lovely chug 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 engine, which is great, so it gives you all the torque low down. So it's a pleasure to ride in and out of the cities and the towns and the villages.
Now, what you might not realise, and we've touched upon this rather slightly in our previous videos on this trip, so if you haven't watched them, go back and watch them because it's the most incredible trip and most unbelievable experience we've ever had, so you don't want to miss it. But these bikes are actually pretty good off-road. They will take you further than you'd ever imagine, and they're just such a rugged motorcycle. It can soak up whatever you throw at it. It really is a proper workhorse of a motorbike. The suspension isn't massive of travel like you might get on a enduro bike or a trail bike, but for what it is, it soaks up the bumps rather well, and you can really take it down these sort of off-road tracks. We would call them byways in England, but in India you can ride wherever you like, which is fantastic, and it will just go over anything. Obviously the limiting factor is the road tyres that we've got on here, so if you put knobbly tyres on this bike, then you could make a really, really good trail bike. But as it is, it's surprising how far this bike will take you. Now, of course, I'm not saying this is the best off-road bike money can buy, because obviously that wouldn't be true. But what I am saying is that this is more capable than I ever realised, and any of you may have ever realised. Obviously, if you go over some really big bumps too fast, you will bottom out the suspension. But if you go into an off-road track knowing that and just roll over things a bit slower than you would on a off-road trail bike, it'll do it. It really will do it, and it'll do it with not much fuss. And in India, every time you come into a village or a town, they've got these sort of speed bumps, and a lot of them are quite nice sort of takeoffs. So we've been sort of not slowing down as much as we normally would, stand up on the peg slightly and take it as a jump, and it is so much fun, and it soaks it up, it doesn't throw up a fuss. So I'm rather impressed by how rugged this bike is. Now, for a few months we've been wearing these Ride & Sons cargo trousers from XL Moto, and they have proved to be fantastic. These have got knee pads, hip pads, they've got all the protection, they've got protective liner. They are fantastic, and they're nice and breathable as well, so they almost feel like you're not wearing riding trousers, but you are. We also bought these coarse riding shirts, which are fantastic, especially for summer riding. They've got back protectors, shoulder protectors, elbow pads, the whole lot. So if you want some stylish gear, some functional stuff, they do parts and stuff on there as well, go and check out XL Moto through the link in our description. They are absolutely fantastic, and they've got a product for everyone.
Now, did you know that subscribing to this channel is actually good for your health. Try it and you'll see how much better you feel afterwards. What we absolutely adore about these bikes, and we've said it 1,000 times, is these nice big mud guards that cover the whole wheel, or half of it. If it covered the whole, we wouldn't be able to ride it. It keeps all the muck off the bike, and we've been in some mucky conditions and it's not too bad. There's a lot of dust, of course, but that's nothing you can do about that. Nice headlight, nice little peak on there, beautiful instrument cluster, I love it. Disc brake, perfectly good for this. I can almost do stoppies on it, so no problems there. In India you've got this massive chunky engine guard. I don't know if you have to have them, so let us know if you're in India. Obviously it looks a lot nicer without that. It's quite a slim bike otherwise. Nice exhaust with quite a nice sound. Very good looking engine. We've talked about the performance of that already, so we're talking about the looks now. Cable clutch, which is great, lovely feel. And is it a cable throttle? It is a cable throttle as well. So you've got a really nice feel to this bike, which we love. On this we've got these hangover bags, which are quite nice, but you can get different sorts of luggage for it. On this Indian one we've got the sari guard the other side. Lots of ladies sit side saddle on them, which is nice to see. Got a nice big mud guard at the back with the number plate. A little number plate Indian have, not like the flipping great thing we have in England. So that's very nice too. The seat's quite comfortable. We're big people and I do find that I want to sit right at the back of the seat, so it would be better with a bench seat, but it's perfectly right. So at 6'2" and a bit, and Darcy's 6'1", we find it perfectly right. And sometimes after a couple of hours in the saddle, I sit here sometimes. You can move about a bit, so it's fine, not a problem. The handlebars are quite narrow, which is good in city traffic. The mirrors are okay, so about half the road, maybe a bit less. With wider bars that were a bit taller, like the new Goan one. Whoa! Now that's going to be the best Royal Enfield Classic 350 model in my opinion. The tank is fairly wide. Now the lady girl on our ride said that because she's shorter than us, she had to sit all the way forward, so her legs are like that. No comments on that, please. So she thinks the tank's a little bit wide. Switch gears, quite good quality. It's plastic, it's all right. It does everything you need. Nice and simple, this bike. Simplicity is a good thing. It looks like a proper motorbike. Hasn't got any pointy plastic bits. It's very stylish. It's very cool. I mean, this is the rugged version. Of course, you can get the beautiful ones with lovely paintwork. You get that sort of Signals one, which looks like an army bike. They're lovely. Or you can get them with lots of chrome and shiny bits. So you've got one for everyone's taste.
As the old man said, I am 6'1", and I do find it a little bit on the small side for me. It's okay for, a good few hours, but when you're riding this thing, sort of 7 hours in one day, it starts to become a little bit too achy because of the bars being quite low and the seating position being slightly too forward for my liking. I do find that I'm a little bit hunched over, so for a long period of time I do start to get a bit of backache. But when I sat on the Goan Classic 350 at Motoverse Festival, which if you haven't seen that video, go back and check it out because it's one of the most beautiful bikes I've ever seen, the riding position was spot on. It had further forward foot position, it had mini 8-hanger bars, it had a bobber style seat which sort of cupped you a little bit further back. It was just spot on for a riding position. So if I was to ride a bike like this for a long period of time and I had a choice, that would be the version I would choose. But I don't think that bike is coming to anywhere else in the world apart from India, which is sad, but it makes sense because it's going to appeal massively to the Indian audience. The old man mentioned that the exhaust sound is quite nice on this bike, and it is not too bad for a standard exhaust. It does sound nice. It sounds especially nice when you rev it up a little bit and let off the throttle. It's got a lovely overrun sound. It's a beautiful styled exhaust as well. Lovely chrome, a pea shooter style rear. It's stunning. But in India, I've seen quite a few of these bikes, especially when we first arrived in Anjuna. These new Classic 350s, the old one, the old Classic 500, which are all very similar, with this style exhaust, but straight through, no silencing. My God, does it sound good. It's one of the best sounding bikes ever. We were sat there in our hotel room with our mouths wide open all night because we're hearing these things go past, especially because they're arriving for the Motoverse Festival throughout the night. So they're just caning it down the road. what a noise. And I must say that from what we've seen, the chaps who ride Royal Enfields in India have been so cool. I mean, we've seen so many cool people on these bikes, and it really makes you want one, because you look at someone and you go, my God, he looks cool. You think, I want one of those now. So if there's anything that makes you want to buy a bike, it's seeing someone cool on one out. You think, you go home, you look on the website, you think, how much is one of these and when can I buy one?
Now, one of the nice things about Royal Enfield is that they don't have any negative image associated with them. So wherever you go, turn up, wherever you ride past, it's all positive. Some brands do have a bit of negativity from some circles, obviously not the people that ride them, but you don't get that with the Royal Enfields.
Now, the Classic 350 has a side stand and a centre stand, which everybody likes to have. It's a nice thing to have. It means you can maintain your bike very easily, but it does mean you get slightly less ground clearance. So on off-road stuff, you do find that sometimes you scrape the underneath of that on some of the bigger bumps. But obviously this isn't an off-road bike, so do bear that in mind. Talking about off-road Royal Enfields, they have actually released a new bike, which has sort of gone a bit under the radar because I didn't even realise this. But they've re-released the Scram. It looks pretty much the same. It's got the same 411 engine, except it's not the same because it's been bored out to be a 440. So it's got a bit more power, a bit more torque, and I think that would be a really nice bike. So as soon as we can get our hands on one of those, we will, and test it out and see what it's like. But again, I think that would probably be a perfect bike for India because that's ultra rugged and it have a little bit more power and torque, which would just give it the sweet spot. And that engine has plenty of character, which is perhaps slightly lacking in the new 450. The Classic 350 in this variant has these beautiful spoked wheels. They're chrome, they're lovely and classic. It's just a fantastic design. I absolutely love the look of these. They're timeless and they're just beautiful. But a lot of people complain that they've not got tubeless tyres or tubeless rims. And they have rectified that with the new Goan. It has got tubeless tyres and they actually look really nice. They're still spoked wheels, but obviously the spokes come out to the side and that's sort of the way around it. So it's got a slightly different lip at the side, a different shape, but they actually looked really nice and they were a good looking spoked tubeless rim. But there is a way around that, which we've seen on trials bikes, where they still have a tubeless rim, but the spokes come to the middle and they've got a sort of ridge around the middle, which is where the spokes go, and it's separate to where all the air goes inside the rim and the tyre. So that would be a nice workaround that I'd like to see in future models to keep that traditional spoked wheel look, but have a tubeless rim.